A negative day coming through for the NSE 20. We're down almost 1% and we're basically in the middle of earnings as well. What is driving the negative sentiment right now? Are you finding that most investors are not happy with some of the numbers that we're seeing, or do you think we're seeing a bit of sympathy coming to the fore with other emerging markets which have also taken a knock?
Quite to the contrary, Eleni. What you're seeing is that we're having profit takers who had bought the stocks at a cheaper price. Remember December the index was much lower. We are seeing profit takers now coming in to mark their gains. I mean to realize their gains, and also I tend to think that though we're in the middle of earnings reports by companies, there's a bit of feeling that the prices already reflect those earnings. So really, it doesn't matter how good it is. The earnings had already been anticipated by investors. After Barclays Bank, we saw a jump of like 10 shillings, but then post Barclays Bank period, we've seen Equity Bank releasing good results. We've seen NIC releasing good results, but quite to the contrary, they've only gained by 1 shilling, or in some instances, we've seen them shedding off.
Well, let's touch on Equity Bank, and as you alluded to, we did see some strong results, 69% growth in net profit to 7.1 billion shillings. We also saw a dividend coming to the fore. Are you saying that most investors had anticipated these kind of numbers? In other words, that most of this news has already been priced in?
Yeah, we saw after Barclays Bank, investors had not anticipated the one for Barclays Bank. That one, even I will admit, I was caught flat-footed. But then again, going forward, NIC did their end-of-year results. What we saw was just a marginal increase. There is also a pretty good Equity Bank. Yes, I would say that after they were anticipated after what we saw in Barclays. I mean, investors now had it that actually banks are going to release good dividends. And remember again, Eleni, in the previous year we had double-digit increase in pre-tax profit. So basically, it just made common sense that the end of year results would be superb.
Well, as you mentioned, double-digit growth before. Can we sustain this upward momentum when it comes to the results coming through from some of these banks? Or are investors feeling skittish as to the prospects going forward?
There's something that I've seen in the banking sector, that is a high dividend payout. We look at Barclays Bank, we look at Equity Bank, and I believe that when there is a high dividend payout, that means that the directors really have run out of investment options. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm seeing going forward, it will not be sustainable.
In terms of income flows going forward, and when you have to compare the likes of Equity to Barclays, Equity's proportion of its income coming through from lending, that accounts for around 53% compared to 62% for Barclays and 64% for KCB. Do you think we're going to see more of a normalization in terms of income flows for some of these banks?
Again, we are seeing that for the banks that had an increase in the lending, in income from lending, we are seeing that there was also an increase in customer deposits. Banks lend against customer deposits. So if your deposits are not increasing, therefore you don't have any money to lend. I look at Barclays Bank results, tell me that they had lower customers' deposits as compared to the previous previous financial period. Now, what that portends for the bank is that they have nowhere. I mean, they do not have any money to lend, and therefore a decrease in income from loans. Now, if at all there has to be a normalization, we should be having a situation whereby banks are able to attract cheap customer deposits. That is the only way that that is the only way where we'll have a normalization of the income from loans, from customer loans.
Crispus, let's change gears here a bit. Looking at Axis Kenya, the share price dropping to below its IPO price last week. A lot of concerns that we could see Axis Kenya coming under further pressure. It seems that this company is worried about future earnings. Tell us a little bit about this company, where you think it's going to be headed. Do you think that it's the selling that we've been seeing perhaps is overdone?
No, I'm still a bit bearish about the counter, given that they had a 25. They announced that they'll be having reduced. They gave a profit warning. So really, my sentiments is that the bottom is not yet reached. I think there's still more room for some shedding off, unless, of course, we've got a sudden good news coming in, like probably an acquisition. Really, bearing that, I don't see much change in the trend.
Crispus, looking forward to the rest of the week on the international front. We know that Libya, the Middle East, is taking a lot of preference. That higher oil price is concerning a lot of investors. We've seen inflation in Kenya ticking up by around 1.34%. Going forward into the rest of the week, do you suspect that we'll see more profit taking, or do you think we could see some upside later on?
No. Going forward, I see the weakening continuing because, again, now Libya, things don't look like they're going to go any better unless you as a newscaster will tell me more. But from where I'm seated, really, it doesn't look like it's going to go any much better. So I expect the trend to be sustained in the coming week.